Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, we're diving into a creepy old legend known as Slenderman.
Slenderman, Slenderman, dressed in darkest suit and tie. Slenderman, Slenderman, you will certainly die.
Deep in the dense forests, where shadows reign supreme, and among the trees that seem to whisper in mysterious tones, resides an entity known as Slenderman. He is not human, but a creature outside the bounds of nature, like a fragment of a haunting nightmare that has seeped into the real world. Physical description: Slenderman's appearance is a manifestation of pure dread, designed to unsettle even the bravest of souls. His height exceeds 3 meters, standing tall like a dark monument among the trees, making anyone feel small and powerless before him. And his body is unnaturally slim, as if every part of him absorbs the light around him, leaving behind a ghostly, emaciated figure. Featureless face. The most unnerving aspect of his appearance is his blank face, a smooth white surface devoid of eyes, nose, or mouth. This utter void of features exudes an inexplicable terror, as though he sees things no mortal eyes could comprehend. Eerie attire. He wears a black suit and tie. This formal appearance adds a dissonant and unsettling touch, as though he were an attendee at an eternal funeral. Elongated arms. His arms stretch unnaturally long, sometimes reaching the ground. Even more horrifying are the additional limbs that emerge from his back, dark and shadowy, writhing like serpents in the darkness. What Slenderman does. Slenderman does not attack directly, but employs methods far more insidious and terrifying. He is a masterful psychological predator. Psychological prey. It begins with seeing him from a distance, standing motionless among the trees, a mere shadow in the corner of your vision. At first, you think it's a trick of the mind, but his presence becomes more vivid and undeniable with time. He doesn't chase you physically, but haunts your mind. Nightmares begin, and soon, his image infiltrates your thoughts and surroundings. Gradual appearance. He shows up in places you consider safe, outside your bedroom window, at the edge of your bed, or reflected in mirrors. The closer he gets, the more intense the mental symptoms become. Victims often experience hallucinations and a loss of focus. The vanishing of victims. Children are his primary targets. To them, he appears as a friendly, invisible companion, speaking to them in an incomprehensible language. He lures them into the woods, never to be seen again. His powers make him an unbeatable force. He gradually takes over the minds of his victims, planting fear through visual and auditory hallucinations. The more you think about him or fear him, the stronger his grip becomes. Victims see what he wants them to see, and he can distort their memories, leaving them unable to discern reality from delusion. Slenderman can appear and disappear at will, moving freely through shadows. He cannot be touched, harmed, or defeated. He is not entirely physical. It is said that he feeds on fear, and that every mention or thought of him amplifies his power. And now, I'll tell you a story. In 1982, there was a young man named Owen, 19 years old, living in a small village surrounded by dense forests. These forests were steeped in mystery, and the villagers always warned against venturing too close. They spoke of a strange entity known as Slenderman. However, Owen believed these were nothing but old myths. stories passed down by grandmothers and villagers to scare children. Despite his skepticism, Owen's curiosity was stronger than any warning. He loved exploring abandoned and eerie places, and he had heard countless stories about the forest that the villagers spoke of with fear. He thought the tales were exaggerated, and that if he entered the forest at night, he'd find nothing but shadows and decaying trees. One dark night, Owen decided to venture into that cursed forest. He knew the decision might cost him his peace of mind, but he felt a strong need to uncover the truth behind the legends. Owen entered the forest late at night, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. The wind howled through the trees, and everything around him seemed to whisper in eerie silence. With every step he took, he felt the earth beneath his feet becoming more mysterious. The sounds from the trees and fallen leaves seemed to groan under the weight of time. It wasn't long before he began to feel something strange. The deeper he went into the forest, the more uneasy he became. His heart started beating faster, and the air around him thickened as if some unseen force was watching him. As he walked through the trees, Owen began noticing something odd. There was a tall shadow moving between the trees, but it wasn't like any other shadow. It moved unnaturally, shifting and distorting, as if an invisible being was trying to slip between reality and fantasy. Owen's heart began to race, and he felt something heavy in his chest, as if an unseen force was surrounding him. Then, in a moment of terrifying silence, he felt as if something was watching him. When he quickly turned around, he saw Slenderman standing between the trees, towering so high it seemed the sky wrapped around him. His form lacked any discernible features, his body unnaturally thin. His long limbs stretched all the way to the ground, as if the trees themselves had bent in submission to him. But the most horrifying part was his face. There was no face. It was simply a smooth white surface, as pale as snow, devoid of eyes, nose, and mouth, causing dizziness upon gazing at it. Slenderman began to move toward Owen slowly, but with every step it felt as though time itself was collapsing. His footsteps were invisible, and everything around him seemed to fade away. Owen heard faint whispers seeping into his mind from Slenderman. "You are part of me now. You can't escape. You will stay here forever." In that instant, Owen felt something strange in his mind, as if his very memory was starting to fade. Images and sounds became distorted in his head, and it felt as if Slenderman was toying with his mind, pulling it toward the brink of madness. Owen could hear sounds coming from the depths of the shadows, silent screams from kidnapped children. In a state of absolute terror, Owen decided to run. He sprinted as fast as he could, but the ground beneath his feet began to move. The trees started to close in on him, as if the forest itself had come alive. The air became thick, and the sound of Slenderman's voice echoed. Owen ran with all his strength, but the further he went, the more the shadows closed in on him. The trees seemed to breathe, closing in tighter with every step. Slenderman's pursuit grew closer, chasing him through the endless darkness, never giving him a chance to escape. Finally, at an undefined moment, Owen vanished. The sky turned pitch black, and the forest became lifeless, empty of any sign of his presence. But did he die? Or did he become part of the shadows? In that forest, only the whispers of Slenderman can be heard, hiding in the darkness, waiting for the next victim. From that day forward, Owen became nothing more than a distant memory in the village. The silence you feel now is nothing but an illusion. Slenderman doesn't appear when you look, And maybe, just maybe, he's right behind you now.